Hey everyone, and welcome back to Timeless. Today we got a cool new combo deck. I was playing on ladder the other day and I got absolutely rolled by somebody playing Ygra, so I had to try and recreate the deck list. I asked around on my Discord and somebody said that Taco Bite made a video about a similar list, very similar to this, using Buried Alive about a month ago, so I used his list as the base for this, but I did make quite a few changes to it to try to make it a bit more competitive, especially in the sideboard. So to go over the combo really quick, if you haven't seen it, Ygra Eat of All, it makes every single creature into a food. Cauldron Familiar, loves foods. It has an ability that when it's in the graveyard, you could sacrifice a food to bring it back to the battlefield. When your creatures are also food, Cauldron Familiar can be sacrificed to pay this cost. So if you have one Cauldron Familiar on the battlefield, the other in the graveyard, that's an infinite loop. Actually, all that you need to start the loop is just get both Cauldron Familiars in the graveyard and then any other random creature not named Ygra in play alongside Ygra, and then you can get infinite looping. So here's the idea. Dark Ritual, Buried Alive. What we're going to search up? Ygra and two cats. Reanimate, put the Ygra back for 1 mana, and you can combo on the spot, assuming that you had another food or another creature in play to start your loop. That's actually pretty easy in this deck because we're playing 8 mana dorks here, which we can get rid of once we no longer need them. Gilded Goose makes a food token as well. And we also play Grief. You can evoke Grief for 0 mana to clear your opponent of hand hate and then start your combo, which is pretty cool. I really like about this deck is even though it's a very all-in combo deck, trust me, I built this to be all in on the Dark Ritual Buried Alive plan, is that we get to play a lot of interaction in the main deck. We get 8 slots for interaction, and they fit in really well with the plan because we're already natively playing Reanimate, so we can just keep Grief Reanimate hands and play the scam game sometimes. So whenever we're up against unfair decks, I would imagine that this deck could actually do really, really well because we can interact with our opponents a bunch of times and threaten our own combo very early. With the perfect hand of a bunch of Dark Rituals, you can theoretically win on turn 1. I think if your opening hand is double Dark Ritual, Reanimate, Buried Alive, and a dork like Deathrite Shaman, then yes, that is a turn 1 win because you double Dark Ritual for 5 mana, 1 of the mana on Shaman, 3 of the mana on Buried Alive, and then the last mana on Reanimate. That is a turn 1 win. This deck can theoretically turn 1 kill, but that is very, very, very unlikely. What's more realistic is you keep some of your combo pieces, you interact with a Thoughtseize or a Grief on turn 1, you tutor on turn 2, and then you combo on turn 3 with a Dark Ritual, or maybe turn 4 without a Dark Ritual. That's it for the main deck. The main deck is just tutors, interactions, and the combo. Mana base is also very straightforward. We're just playing normal stuff. Some Blooming Marsh because we're 2-color. Sideboard. 3 Haywire Mites, which is going to be our main way to go ahead and get rid of artifacts and enchantments. I like playing Haywire Mite specifically because it is a creature that we can sacrifice to our loop to start the loop if it's not needed for artifact enchantment hate. Most graveyard hate in the format, pretty much all of it except Surgical Extraction, is artifact and enchantment based. Vexing Bauble for the number 1 deck show and tell, of course. I think this deck is going to have a really awesome show and tell matchup, though. Between being able to play 8 discard spells and play all these Vexing Baubles in the sideboard and being able to tutor for sideboard pieces, like, show and tell is going to have trouble interacting with us, and we're going to have a really easy time interacting with them. Of course, their deck is still more powerful, so we'll see how it actually goes. 2 Surgical Extractions for graveyard matchups, and then down here we have a bunch of interaction for creature decks. So if we're up against something like Energy, we're going to cut all of our Thoughtseizes into the Griefs so that we can bring in Fatal Pushes, Calling Rituals, Meathook Massacres. Actually, for Energy, the sideboard plan is going to be to cut all the Griefs because we're also going to want to bring in Haywire Mite to blow up their graveyard hate that they can bring in against us. I think that's it for the deck. We're very all in on this combo today. I'm usually not an all in combo gamer, but let's go ahead and try it. I think this deck could be really sweet in best of 1 too, if you want to play a combo deck in best of 1, just because it can pack all of this main deck interaction, giving you a lot of game against a lot of different decks. All right, let's go ahead and get to the gameplay, see how this does in ranked. All right, gameplay with Ygra. We're up against Jegantha, which usually means a slower energy variant. What we have here, we do have the combo, but what we don't have is mana. We can go ahead and try to surveil ourselves into more mana. I think we can go ahead and keep this. If we hit a second land, we can DI away a cat to go ahead and get Dark Ritual or whatever we're going to need to actually combo off here. We do need to have a little bit of help off the top of our deck, hitting a land drop in the top 2. If we don't hit that, it's going to get a little awkward. But first game against Energy should hopefully give us an indication of whether or not this deck's remotely competitive. Another cat? No thank you. Don't need that yet. I'd love a land, I'd love a dork, I'd love a dark ritual. Any of that stuff is good. Land? Fantastic. So here we're just going to probably play both cats, and then next turn we can DI for a dark ritual and get ourselves ready to win on turn 4. And plus we're playing 2 blockers that gain us a life. That's pretty good. Actually, we can just cast Ygra from hand this game if we hit a bit more mana, which is super interesting. I did a couple of practice games, just a couple, not too many, and I actually haven't done Ygra from hand yet because I'm only playing 2 copies in the deck. The idea is I'm generally tutoring for it with Buried Alive. But that would be really cool if like I drew a land and then tutored for Dark Ritual and then we just Ygra from hand. And then we've reanimated as a backup just in case. Yeah, look at that. So here, I'm gonna DI, I'm gonna get Dark Ritual, and the next turn we Ygra from hand. Cool. Dark Ritual, please. Enters tapped. Next turn, we're gonna have 5 mana and we get to go infinite. If they exile my cat, I'm gonna be very mad about it, by the way. That's the one way an opponent does get to stop this here, is if they exile the cat before I can throw Ygra into play. Right, ooh, they are Mardu Gaming, so if they peddle my Ygra, it could mess us up, but then we still have the Buried Alive Reanimate line. And it looks like they're tapped out, ladies and gentlemen. Unless they're on main deck Surgical, I think we're good to go here. So let's go ahead, Dark Ritual, turbo out this Ygra, and then welcome to the combo. So what's cool about this combo is you also get infinite power in play in case, you know, you had an Ygra without Summoning Sickness somehow. But even with Summoning Sickness, this is just infinite drain and infinite life gain. Awesome. Okay, we win game 1 against Energy. This deck's legit, top of the meta, right? No, I think we're going to get rolled more often than not. My opponent's now going to bring in the Juggernaut Peddlers, the Surgical Extractions, the Thought Seizes, and then this is where it gets very, very tricky, right? So I think discard is not very good against Energy. This is a way to just put us behind on life and behind on board state. So I'm actually going to take out all 8 discard spells. And what we're going to do, we're bringing the Culling Rituals. Culling Rituals, fantastic. Bringing Meathook Massacre, bringing the Fatal Pushes, and then their sideboard cards against us are going to be Artifact Enchantment based. So we're going to also bring in Haywire Might. And we're going to run it back like this. I said their sideboard cards against us are going to be Artifact Enchantment based, like on Licensed Hearse, but honestly, they could also just have Surgicals. And I really just don't think there's much you can do about Surgical in this deck. Actually, I'm remembering the Ground Seal technology from Omnithopter. Does that mess up our combo? Yes, it messes up Reanimate. Can't use Ground Seal. Alright, here, all that we need to do actually is DI our Goose into a Buried Alive, and then we can do Buried Alive, Reanimate, and win. Alright, yeah, that's pretty good. Now, of course, our opponent can interact with us. They're going to. They brought in sideboard cards, right? Do we want another dork? I think the answer is no. Because we're probably just going to Culling Ritual soon. I'd rather draw Dark Rituals or naturally draw my combo. Aha! See, this is why you don't just play out Amped Raptor on turn 2. I always tell people. Sequencing, schmequencing. So what we could do here is we could just chill and lean on Culling Ritual and plan on culling in a couple of turns. I should do like that idea, and we could put a Cauldron Familiar in the graveyard while we do it. So this turn we just play Cauldron Familiar, play tap land. Next turn we DI. And then like the turn after we Ritual. What we could also do is just play Goose, use Goose to make mana, and then Ritual on turn 3. But my opponent's board is not that big yet. Let's keep 4th land on top because I'm planning on comboing turn 4. We'll play a cat. We're going to DI for whatever we need. DI is probably going to get me the Buried Alive. We also just get an Ygra if we're planning on doing a Culling Ritual win. Oh, never mind, we don't get to DI. Alright, yeah, my opponent's going to go very wide here. But the good news is, as long as they don't get like an Ajani or something, we're going to have so much mana when we untap. So I'm just going to play a tap land and pass. A little bit sus. Don't get me wrong. You don't always want to just let Mardu Energy swing at you. But they'd have to have a Johnny plus Bombardment to kill us on the spot here. What's really cool is I think we might be able to even do Ygra from hand if we get enough mana here off of Culling Ritual. Oh, Fleech, okay, yeah. Looks like we get a turn. 5 mana off of that? No, we got way more than 5 mana. Oh yeah, we win. Whoa. I wasn't expecting to beat energy. Hold on. Hold on, guys. Goodbye, board. Guys, this is legit. So we played the goose. We DI. We're buried alive. Buried alive. Do that. Give me 2 small cats and a big cat. Welcome back, big cat. I should have actually gotten maybe 2 big cats. Not that it really matters. If my opponent had a surgical there, they could have screwed me over. So perhaps what I could have done is... trying to think of other ways to play around that. Because if I tutored Ygra to hand, I wouldn't have had 2 Cauldron Familiars in my graveyard, and I couldn't do the infinite combo, right? I know we won, but I do want to figure out how to play around Surgical with this deck, because if our Mardu player just had Surgical as their last card, because, you know, of course they do. Ladder opponents always have the cards they need. Could we have prevented ourselves from losing by hardcasting Ygra from hand? And the answer is actually no, because then they just Surgical Cauldron Familiar, right? I do need to figure out some anti-surgical technology for this deck, because, you know, we got lucky they didn't have sideboard cards. They kept a hand that's goldfishing us. And they also whiffed on swords. Like, if the swords hit our cat or something, you know, it could have definitely screwed us up. But hey, we beat energy game 1. That's awesome. Let's see if we can keep it up. All right, game 2, we're going to be on the draw against the Lurrus deck. I'm not sure what flavor of Lurrus this is, be it energy or be it controlling. We do have some Magic the Gathering cards in our hand. I think this is enough Magic the Gathering cards to form the basis of a keep. We have assembled the team for our other combo piece. We got a Dark Ritual for acceleration. We got Mana Dorks for acceleration. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this, actually. Go ahead and fetch Overgrown Tomb here. I just worry, yeah, we're going to see blue Lurrus. And they get to interact back with me. Oh boy. Alright, let's play Deathrite Shaman. I didn't want to fetch there because they untap with their Deathrite first, meaning they get mana first. These Deathrites are just going to oppose each other all game unless my opponent decides to use a removal spell. So I'm just going to use my Deathrite to prevent them from getting mana on theirs. Okay, yeah, they decide to remove it. I'm cool with that. So we do need to be careful when we combo if they have this Deathrite in play to make sure that they can't eat a creature, but they're blue-black. Meaning they probably only have 1 green source in the deck. They have to, like, very specifically fetch it. Alright, so here I think I want to assemble the team and see if I can get Reanimate? Or maybe another Dark Ritual? Because if there's enough Dark Rituals, we can just bury alive the cats and cast Ygra from our hand. I can also just play the Goose and Surveil. So if I were to assemble here, right, and I untap with 3 mana, really 5 mana next turn, then I could just do the Buried Alive Reanimate thing, assuming I find Reanimate off of Assemble. So that seems like a good enough reason to just go for it and try to tutor for our win card. If I didn't have a line where I won next turn, I would have probably played Goose. There's a Reanimate. Alright, now our blue opponent gets to hold up 2 mana and just stare at us menacingly, which is the fun part of playing against blue decks. Alright, the menacing stares have begun. He's just staring at me menacingly. I'm very tempted to just cast a Buried Alive for 3 mana, trade it for a mana drain, and the next turn we do Dark Ritual, Buried Alive, Reanimate. So I don't want to, like, blow my Dark Ritual this turn. I'm thinking about it, guys. I think my opponent's got to have something, so... also can't interact with the Deathrite. The thing is, if they don't have anything, I'm going to look like a total klutz. You know, if they do interact with my Buried Alive, I think I'm just going to play Goose, and I'll be happy to have a Goose on the board. Oh, I need to have a Goose on the board to do my combo this turn anyway, actually. So yeah, let's Dark Ritual. I don't have a creature in play yet. Buried Alive. Is this going to resolve? We get two little cats and a big cat here. Okay. Hold up. Hold up, hold up, hold up. Reanimate the big cat? It just happens? Nope. Okay, that's going to get drained at the end, so my opponent let me go all the way to reanimating. Alright, so we definitely have outs. We have the Ygra in our hand, very luckily, so if we draw another Dark Ritual, another land, we could just cast it next turn, assuming my opponent doesn't have another mana drain. Draw another Reanimate, we can of course just go again that way. So we definitely still have outs, even though we get counterspelled. That is a tapped mana source. Okay, tapped mana source. You got it. And it's a reanimate on top. Okay, sure. Unfortunately, my opponent now gets turns to draw more counter spells, but I mean, I'm gonna try to hardcast Ygra next turn and then try to reanimate it again the turn after. So we're putting them on counterspell checks 2 in a row. Unfortunately, my opponent might be able to fetch out green if they drew a fetch land, and that would F me up. Alright, let's go ahead and make another food here, so that we can use a food for mana and not worry about it. I also bring a cat back at any point. They know I have Reanimate on top of my deck, but I want to cast the Ygra. Do I? Do I really? I think Ygra can wait until next turn. Let's throw the card they know about at them first. I'll attempt to reanimate my big cat. May I? Okay. Yeah, so if I cast this from hand, they would have just gotten 5 mana. Buried Alive. Is there any reason to Bury Alive anything? I don't think so. You know, I was thinking about this in deck construction. I was thinking about putting like 1 Bloodghast into the deck, just like a creature that comes back for free from the graveyard so you can get some buried value. And I decided like we really didn't have room for it. I think it's correct, but this is a situation where we definitely could have used it. My opponent's gonna go for the slow drain. Nope, just kidding. They're gonna add some mana. Just draw some cards, yeah. I need to draw more counter spells because I'm threatening to just kill my opponent every time I draw a Reanimate or an Ygra or a Tutor. Alright, Lurrus to hand. That's a good thing for us to see. That means they're kind of out of gas. All those cards in hand, but hopefully not another counter spell among them. Take another food. Alright. 5 mana. How you feeling, opponent? Okay. Exile a land. Blue mana. You got third mana drain? Ah, they always have third mana drain. Alright. But we still do have outs. Like, believe it or not, if we just draw Tutor, we win. Assuming they don't have fourth mana drain, but you know, they always have it. Ladder opponents always have it. Now they get to do the Lurrus Bauble Loops to draw an extra card every turn. Yeah, they're going to draw early so that they can get the card into their hand for my turn, so they can draw another counter spell. Because there's arguments to save those baubles and wait to use them to flip the Tameo. But they know flipping Tameo doesn't matter against my deck. It's not like I'm trying to win through combat damage. Alright, what we got here? We have just a Verdant. I guess I'll oppose their Deathrite Shaman with mine. Oh, they also got green mana. Ew. Yeah, I think we lost this game, unfortunately, fellas. I only have 2 Ygras and they're both in my graveyard. Actually, we, like, straight up lost. If they start exiling my Ygra, I think I'm actually going to concede, which is going to seem like a really early concession to them, but I only have 2 copies of the card, and my deck is just all in on the combo, unfortunately. That's what's tough. So, against this specific deck, it's interesting. I do want the Grease and the Thought Seizes to try and clear counter spells, but I also do want a bit of creature interaction for them playing, you know, Deathrite Shaman and friends. So I do want to try to squeeze 2 pushes into here. I wonder how we do that. Maybe we can take out DIs. It's going to be a little tough to resolve DIs against their deck because we need a creature to stay in play and need to resolve it against their counter spells. And then I'm thinking maybe we probably need a Haywire Might as well, because they will probably have something on the board to hate us, though they could just be on surgicals instead of being on unlicensed Terrace and Friends. But 1 might so that we can tutor for it is absolutely not a bad idea. So let's go ahead and probably run it back like this. And on the play, let's see if we can make Ygra happen. We have an Ygra in our hand, and we have Buried Alive, assemble a team to try and find a reanimate. We have Grief to clear our opponent's hand. This seems like I could keep to me. We'll go ahead and wait on Griefing, though, because we might draw like a really junky black card that I don't need, like a second Buried Alive, for example. Oh, hello.
I stayed up too late.
So if I were to de-writ here, I can't possibly win on the spot, but I assemble the team, find a reanimate. Fingers crossed. Next turn, we can grief check them and then win on the spot. We will have enough mana with Dark Ritual. Maybe there's an argument to grief check them on my turn to clear discard, but I think I'd rather clear a counterspell that they could potentially draw. Oh, they're just going to DT. They might DT for Surgical here, which would be icky, but we can, of course, clear that with grief. All right, I mean, I'll go ahead and fetch an extra mana first, just in case it ends up being relevant somehow. All right, grief, pitch grief. You got surgical? Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, it means we get to just do it. So we get to bury. Oh, no, wait, we don't get to just do it because we don't have a creature in play. Oh, I did it in the wrong order. No, wait, it doesn't matter. I did do it in the right order because I had to grief before I buried alive. You can evoke grief to start your combo, which is what I was a little upset about for a second, but I had to evoke grief early to clear the counterspell. So at this point, I just have to draw a creature of any sort. It could even be another grief because I have the Ygra in my hand. Okay, so I didn't misplay there. I was forced to grief first because I can assume that they DT'd for surgical if they're going to tap out for it. Deathrite Shaman in play. He's notably an artifact food. I'm going to go ahead and Fatal Push this little Deathrite Shaman here before he gets too much value. And I think we're going to get attacking with Ygra. Big chunky 8/8. And then take the damage. I didn't think we would get to Ygra beatdown today, but here we are. Yeah, like some combo decks do have the fair angle to them where they can get on the beatdown. Like, Jetstorm gets on that Bowmaster beatdown occasionally. But with only two cards that really beat, being the two copies of Ygra, I didn't think it would really happen here. But here we are. Also, if we draw a tutor or draw a creature, we just win. Before they draw another surgical, of course. My opponent's gonna, like... Oh, well, they're flipping Tamiya. Never mind. I thought they were trying to, like, desperation dig for a surgical.
This is not just a battle of fate before you act.
Right, hey, it's a creature. So... I'm gonna put this on the stack. If they counterspell it, we get to attack them for lethal. Right, I'd like my cat back. And then I'm gonna cat, sacrifice cat, and I'm gonna keep doing this loop. Nice, wow, okay. I think we kind of stole that game. I don't know, that deck did what it was supposed to. We interacted with Grief, we took their interaction out of their hand, and we did the combo. I think we should probably just run it back. All right, what we got here? We got Ygra, we got Buried Alive, so we have half the combo. What concerns me is we don't have creatures, we don't have tutors. We get ripped apart by discard. Maybe send it back. We do better. This is a bit better. I think we throw the Ygra back. I really want this in my deck. Yes, it's a black card to pitch to Grief, but most of my deck is black cards to pitch to Grief. And then here, I think we're just going to assemble on turn 2. So I'll just get my Surveils going, see if we can assemble our combo that way. If we get lucky and we have one of our 2 combo pieces on top of our deck and we assemble for the other, then it's looking pretty good. I'd also want to find a black card for Grief, so I'm kind of asking for a lot here. Go ahead and throw that land away. There is another assemble, so let's fire off assemble number 1. And then we can go ahead and grab the reanimate. I think I'll grab the reanimate first because push comes to shove, we can always do the grief reanimate thing. And I'll try to grab our buried alive off of the second to assemble the team. Sultai Lantern, yeah, okay. So we're gonna have to clear that now. We can get a Haywire Mite to do that. I think we only have the 1 in the deck because I said, oh, they're probably not gonna be on too many artifact enchantment based things. They're gonna be on surgical. We could also just like, cast Ygra from hand if the game goes long, which we might want to do. I'm gonna go ahead and assemble the team and see what we see. A Dark Ritual to potentially cast Ygra from hand. What I really want is that Haywire Mite if you see her. Oh, Boseiju. Ah, that's another way to do it. Thank you. And I think we could just go ahead and play out our Cat this turn. I might play out Cat this turn, play out Grief next turn, and then play Ba'ir from there. We are giving our opponent a lot of turns to draw things, which is concerning. Bowmaster is up. Goodbye, Cat. Oh, then they exile. No. Oh well. That's why we play 3 cats and not exactly 2, just in case one gets randomly exiled or you draw one to your hand and can't play it. Always good to have an extra copy. Same with playing 3 or playing 2 Ygras over just 1. Yeah, I think I'm gonna cast Grief here. Go ahead, grab our other basic out of the deck for life loss concerns. Hard cast our Grief. And now we have Grief that can at least be a blocker to try to stem the bleeding here. And then we Boseiju this. We hopefully draw the other half of our combo. Ew. They didn't even bother surgically my cat? Oh, no. They are just gonna exile it there, but still. I feel like they should have surgicaled it. My opponent is activating stuff on their main phase. They're probably looking for some sort of interaction. Or a land drop, maybe. And they go ahead and, yep, Fatal Push me. They're definitely on the beatdown. They know I can't go too low on life, otherwise I can't do my combo. So here, I think I'm going to just grief them again. I have to shock here, because I only have 1 of each basic. So again, a little tricky. Grief you again, and then play Deathrite, and then hopefully something good happens. Legion, dude, all these hate pieces. I'll take your Deathrite. I guess they just get to Legion's End by Deathrite? That's so bad, though. I don't think this game's gonna go our way, unfortunately. 1 silly sideboard card. Messed us up so much. Yeah, now they get to know my hand. They know I have a Boseiju. I think we have to chump block here. Give ourselves any shot in this game. Draw a card. Yep. Probably just looking for another surgical just in case. Okay, so we can assemble here. I don't think there's a card that wins the game. I didn't bring in good old Culling Ritual. Culling Ritual would go so hard here. Holy crap. Culling Ritual would kill everything. We get so much mana. Dang, maybe I should have brought in that Culling Ritual. I think maybe if I hit a Haywire Mite, I could like jump the Nethergoyf, blow up Soul Guide, and then, I don't know, something. Let's look at the cards at least before we make that decision. There's an Ygra that we could not hard cast right now. I mean, there's the Haywire Mite. It's the one thing I said maybe I do want to hit that. Not great, though. I could also just try to reanimate something right now, while their Deathrite Shaman is tapped out. So maybe I do want to try to reanimate this Grief. I couldn't go for the combo there, even though I had enough mana, because I don't have a creature in play, is the problem. If I reanimate the Grief, how dead am I? I'm quite dead. At least Grief can help me attack in black. I'm not sure. I think this game is already lost, but I'll play out another turn. Yeah, my opponent's going to sack the Soul Guide there instead of making me Haywire it. I guess that works. I'll play my Haywire. Well, they didn't know about Haywire. Alright, so yeah, I guess we chump. Just kidding. We go, I think, a bit too low on HP to possibly combo. Yeah, I'm looking at my deck. I don't think I possibly have a draw step to win next turn, because they're going to knock me down to like 2 life. If we had Culling Ritual, that definitely would have been a draw step, so maybe Culling Ritual is kind of just like the nuts sideboard card. I really do love Culling Ritual as a card, so maybe we bring it in even against this Lurrus deck, just because it's a good catch-all way to just blow up all of their random artifact enchantment-based graveyard hate that they might be running. Because this deck's not going to run Leyline of the Void because it's Lurrus, right? So they're running Soul Guide Lantern, Stone of a Wretch, Unlicensed Hearse, etc., and all those things get blown up by Culling Ritual. So maybe next time we're up against Blue-Black, I'll try to sideboard in the Culling Ritual, see how it works. But as I say that out loud, trying to resolve a 4-mana card against Blue-Black tempo, oof, not good. All right, match 3, we're going to be on the play here against Lurrus again. Ooh, hopefully not Lurrus control. We got some reanimates going on. Is this good enough to keep? I don't think so, because we have half of our A plus B combo, sure, but we don't have tutors, we don't have any fast mana. We do have a mana dork, of course, but we're kind of just drawing off the top of our deck until we eventually hit a tutor or a combo piece, which is not the situation I want to be in. So we're going to mulligan at least once since we're an all-in combo deck. I think we'll keep this over going to 5, though, because I do like the ability to assemble. Oh, we have no creatures, no way to get surveil lands even. Let's mulligan again. This is a lot better. I think we're gonna keep... Yeah, when I made this deck, I was envisioning Deathrite Shaman as being so much better than Goose, but I think Goose might be better just because it leaves that food behind. I think we put these 2 cards back. Is that correct? No, we don't want Dark Ritual because it's going to take us a while to put our combo together. Oops. Put Dark Ritual back. Yeah, it's going to take us a minute to put the combo together, so let's keep both of our mana dorks here. And I'll lead on Deathrite Shaman because he's just objectively so powerful. I could have maybe led on Boseiju and then gotten a Surveil Land there. Maybe that would have been better. But I think this turn, I kind of want to saturate my mana and do everything. My opponent is going to indeed be on the energy variant of Lurrus. And there's the funny monkey guy, Little Ragavan. Alright, well, we drew a perfect blocker for Ragavan, so can't be mad about that. And we can go ahead past the turn. So we do need to top deck another tutor or another combo piece, but energy doesn't roll us over. We might have time to do that. Let's see what my opponent has here. Yep, dropped her into something. And the mystery card is Bowmasters. Ew. Oh, there goes my cat. Right? Ragavan's gonna go at me? Not, because I have the food to bring back cat. Nice. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and assemble here before I make a fetch decision. Probably get half the combo here. We can take the reanimate half, and then we just gotta draw another tutor or draw the Buried Alive. Is there any chance we cast Ygra from hand? Yes, actually. But we only have 1 cat in the graveyard in that case. I think I would want the Buried Alive. We don't have Culling Ritual or anything to get in the main deck, unfortunately. Main deck's not great against energy, to be honest. Maybe I should tweak it a little bit. And then as for reanimate targets, it's just the cat, so let's not get baited by that. Just gonna go ahead and surveil here. I could also maybe like fetch out a basic, make another food with the goose. An option presented to us. Okay, Static Prison's gonna come through for something. For Deathrite? Yeah, okay. Do I want to make another food real quick? I think I will. No, I kind of value the Surveil a lot. No matter what, I'll go after your graveyard just in case it's relevant. But no, I think I'm just going to let this mana go away and Surveil here. I can exile my cat? Oh, okay. Not suboptimal, definitely. Oh, if we had made the other food, we would have been able to bring him back again. So Ragavan's going to hit us here, which is not great. Reef. Okay, they can't cast that. They don't have a black card in hand. Put that in the graveyard. Okay. I mean, yeah, you can assemble a team for the other half of our combo. We would need to draw a land in order to do it. So I think what I might want to do instead is just make a food black with the cat. But that's asking to lose. There is the other half of the combo, so I have to draw a land next turn and not run out of life. That's a tough ask, guys. I think the energy draw is just a little too aggro for us this game, unfortunately. Because we need to keep this goose in play, right? Because we need something to sacrifice.
It's not perfect.
Oh, yeah, we're turbo dead. We're as dead as we could be. Okay, so against the energy gamers, we got the culling rituals, we got the fatal pushes, we got the meat hooks, we got the haywire mites, we got everything. Don't want discard, and then we run it back like this. Like that. Alright, on the play. What we got here? Got Deathrite Shamans and Tutors. I think that's a great hand to keep. Hopefully my opponent does me a little favor and fetches once or twice. Just, you know, help a homie out over here. I think I'm going to tutor for Culling Ritual. Like, I really am just a Culling Ritual believer nowadays. Just kidding. We could just Dark DT for Dark Ritual and go off next turn. One Dark Ritual, please. We just happened to draw our combo, a little bit of a luck sack. Now, of course, my opponent could have a sideboard card, surgical, whatever, but I sideboarded out my discard against energy, so if they do, not much I can do. Okay, here we need to draw land to be able to win on the spot, because remember, we need a creature in play to start the combo. We didn't draw the land, so I think I'm just going to play my shaman. Just play my shaman. I could assemble the team, grab a land, and then play shaman. Would I ever want to assemble the team for a land? Sure. Get my land drop. I'd argue against it. Oh, maybe I would want a Haywire Mite or something instead. I'm going to take my land drop, though. Was that loose assembling for a land drop here? I think it was. I think that really didn't accomplish anything. But I really did not want to just play Deathrite Shaman, pass, and then my opponent removes it again, and I'm sitting here like, okay, why to do that? Alright, Guided Soul's coming through. It looks like our opponent kept a one-lander, which is good for us. Alright, awesome. I think we just get to kill them now. So, Dark Ritual. Use this green mana here because I don't have much use for it. Buried Alive. And if they have a surgical, I'm going to be mad about it. But that's the card that they have to win here. So Ygra Cat. Go ahead and reanimate the big cat. So when they surgical here, what's really neat is that we can use Deathrite Shaman in response to prevent our other Ygra from getting stolen. Yeah. So I'm going to exile the Ygra. So now my opponent doesn't get to search my library and take the other one from me, meaning that we can bury it alive for it on a later turn, which is really cool. Unfortunately, it does mean that my opponent, especially if they draw a land, can murder us. Even if they don't, they're actually just going to kill us with the 1-drops, it looks like. They got all the crazy 1-drops in play at once. They're not going to run out of energy, not with double Ocelot Pride in play. They're going to hit City's Blessing next turn, which is very scary. We do need to just spike a reanimate. If we do, we win. That's simple. Simple as that. Let's see whether or not we got reanimate on top. We don't. You know what I should have done? I should have done Buried Alive first. Buried Alive really quick. And I'm going to put the other Ygra into my graveyard. In fact, I'm also going to put other cards I don't want to draw in there. And then if I draw a tutor or a reanimate, we win next turn. If I don't, we lose. And It's just how it's going to be with this deck. This is a bit of an all-in combo deck. I think it's a really sweet BO1 deck, but, you know, me being me, I want to play it in BO3 and see whether or not it's viable. Unfortunately, when the sideboard cards come in, it kind of falls apart like a house of cards. Yeah, everything turns sideways here. I'm not going to block with my Deathrite out of fear of Bowmasters. It's a card they definitely could have. Okay, yeah, you get to peddle me a Juggernaut. Okay, yep, you get to do all the things. It's just a question of whether or not I can draw a Tutor or a Reanimate. Quite a few hits in the deck. Yeah! He's so lucky. But then he gets Surgical again, right? No, they had two? No! Come on, I got lucky in the video. You're supposed to let me have this. I'm gonna clickbait the thumbnail. Okay. That's fine. Alright, so what did we learn here? This deck is pretty fragile. I think it's really cool. I think it is interesting that we have a deck that, you know, can just Buried Alive, A plus B for 4 mana, win on the spot. Technically A plus B and you need a creature in play, which that technicality I think I went a little over my head when I first started putting this deck together, because I'm like, oh yeah, it's so trivially easy to have a food or a token in play. But in practice, we were missing it once or twice when we actually tried it out in the video. But something I really do like about this deck is the fact that it just packs 8 main deck discard spells. So I think this is a really like sweet best of 1 deck. If you're asking me for best of 1 decks to grind, I think you could try this. This is something that wins on the spot, and it's something that interacts with your other bullshit combo opponents in best of 1. For best of 3, we need to figure out some sort of anti-surgical extraction technology for this deck in order for it to work. That, or maybe we can... No, we can't even rely on hardcasting Ygra instead of reanimating it, because the core of the loop does involve the graveyard. So, I mean, maybe we could hardcast Ygra all the time and then play Ground Seal, but then we're like spending 5 mana on a card. So Ground Seal is the cool Omrithopter technology for Breach decks, because Breach actually works with this card in play, which is interesting, but Reanimate doesn't. Turns off Surgical. We need some technology here to fight back against Surgical Extraction in order for this deck to be a thing, because unfortunately Surgical Extraction, it's become very common. Surgical Extraction is going to keep being common, and looking at Duskmourn, it's going to add a few more graveyard cards to the format, especially if like those movie poster, not quite special guests, but whatever that other set is called, the equivalent to the critters from Bloomborough. They did like movie posters, special treatments. They added like Archon of Cruelty and Entomb, or not Entomb, Exhume. Misspoke. If they add Entomb to the format, that would be insane. So if this becomes an Archon of Cruelty format, Surgicals are only going to become even more common. So a graveyard combo that doesn't involve such bullshit powerful cards will be very tough to make work in best of 3. What? If you're the best of 1 gamer who's been asking me for a fun best of 1 deck recommendation, yeah, I think this one has my stamp of approval if you're not going to be running into main deck Surgical Extraction. Is there a sicko out there on best of 1 ladder main decking the Surgical? I'm sure. I'm sure his feelings got hurt and he's now main decking Surgical. Oh man. I do think that the sideboard technology is about as good as it's going to get though. So if you guys have a suggestion, let me know. But I do think that this sideboard is pretty good. We have the show and tell hate in addition to the discard. We got a lot of things to slow down energy. Culling Ritual was fantastic. Maybe I should just play 4 Coals instead of Meathook Massacre. Maybe 4 is excessive. 3 is probably fine with the amount of tutors we have in the deck. Maybe we want more tutors. Oh, there's going to be the new Delirium-based tutor in Duskmourn. So another way to build this deck in the future is to play Stitcher Supplier and play the Delirium-based tutor. That's definitely an idea as well. This deck did pique my interest. Like, there's a couple of ways to do it. The way I did it is very, very all in, and that hurt me a bit in best of 3. So if you guys have ideas on how to make this deck a little bit more, or a little bit less all in, or how to tech it for best of 1, definitely leave a comment. Join my Discord to get yapping about it. I think that's all I have to yap about for now. Thanks for watching, folks. See you next video.